Okay, we're recording. So, hey, welcome to Honest Property Sisters podcast. We're your hosts, Becky and Ruth, and we are honoured today to have Ollie Greenslade, our guest. He is the owner of Holwell Farmhouse, which is an absolutely beautiful location. And he has such a story, and we are so excited to delve right into it because we're basically connected through friends. And we've heard snippets, but our mutual friend was telling us that you basically have to talk to Ollie directly and get everything from him and just fill us in on exactly what's been happening, because we've been disconnected for about, I reckon, 10 years or so. So there's a lot to catch up on, isn't there? So shall we hand over to Ollie and just basically, where do we begin? How did this all come about?
I suppose let's start from college, because it's always a good kind of point of reference.
Oh, yes,
where we all just sort of go off and try and find our thing. I wasn't academic at school. I was a bit of a rascal. I was really creative, loved fashion, loved art, anything that I could just really let my mind run away and put it on paper or create something. So it was just after I was leaving college, and I think that's when I met you both with Arbonne. It found me. I wasn't obviously the same as everyone says. You don't look for anything. It was when I was working in Bath, I think, and that was something for me that, and I know you've spoken to other people on your podcast, it just gave me such a platform to kind of grow. I'd never been in front of an audience apart from I used to dance. Like, it's a different kind of thing. But
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What did you
do?
So I was at Charles School of Dancing in Taunton. I did tap, ballet, jazz, some like street pop and stuff.
Wow.
Oh, that's awesome. Ollie, I'm part of a salsa team. Still love dancing.
I come up, like, I've always wanted to do salsa. But
we'll go dancing one day.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's arrange it. So with that previous network marketing company, it was a real kind of good opportunity for me to just learn how to speak in front of people, how to present nicely, and just be part of something where you're all part of some movement. You were aiming for the same thing. You're around positive people. That for me was a really good stepping stone to just kind of find myself, because in your 20s, early 20s, you don't have a clue unless you're really academic, and you, a bit like my partner Sam, he's a doctor. He was kind of from medical school. You know roughly where you're going to end up, but if you're not, you just float around. And I think that's what your 20s should be for, to find yourself, find what you love doing, use those. If you are creative, try and use those. I mean, it could be accountancy, but you're really creative, so use those creative skills in that job. And the same with uni. I think if you go to uni, it would be nice if you could use your degree somehow, even if it's not directly linked to your job or your degree, to try and use those skills in that workplace or environment. I found that quite helpful. So yeah, network marketing company was a really good stepping stone for me. And then I floated around for probably 6 or 7 years. Customer service. I moved God knows how many places. I was up in Milton Keynes, Bristol. I was just floating around. And I always say to sort of younger people now, especially my family, even if it, at the time, and I understand at the time it's never easy, and you always think, oh my God, when am I? Like, I don't know what to do in my life, but I always think that everything you do is just really good experience. And even setbacks, even like complaints that you get in your job, anything that involves you to just try and work through stuff just sets you up for the future.
Yes, definitely.
It just really helps. So customer service, I was kind of just floating around, and essentially I suppose it's really important, my story isn't average. With what I inherited isn't average. So to be really transparent, I suppose my story is how have I invested what I've been given to what it is today. I think that's really important. So when I was my mum was a florist. I've been really lucky to grow up around a lot of small business owners and large business owners, and live that kind of lifestyle where you have to, if you're not going out and working, you don't earn any money. And
Yes.
that for me, I think has been really good to be around. So when I grew up I spent a lot of time on my dad's farm. I spent a lot of time around my mum and her family. But when I was 9, I lost my dad. And in the peak of his career, he was quite a large vegetable producer in the southwest. And I spent so much time on his farm. I have so many childhood memories of just growing up on the farm and being around animals and living outdoors. Yeah, and just kind of being, I know it sounds really like cliche, but being at one with nature. I know, like, it's a saying that is kind of thrown around today, but like in our kind of growing up, there were no iPads, there were no consoles, there was nothing. And I think that really instilled in me to just enjoy outside as an adult. So I think that's really important, and that's a completely different topic with like technology and stuff. So essentially when I was, I always knew growing up that there was something there when my dad's farm sold that I could use. I could use it to either go to university, I could start my own business, I could do anything. It's not a sort of an average story, I suppose. So I kind of knew at the age of 8, it really sort of understood what was there at 18. I didn't fill out my UCAS forms. I got to the stage where I was going to go to university with my close friend down to Falmouth, and I just thought I just want to get to work. I just feel I'm hungry. I'm really hungry just to get out.
You had it instilled in you.
Yeah. And that's when I came across a network marketing company. So I was at that stage where I was really hungry just to sort of get experience and get out there rather than, for me, I don't think university was the right thing that I should have done. So knowing this at 18, that I was kind of going to inherit some money, part of me feels that it did hold me back in some way because I knew it was a bit of a safety net for me. And I don't think we talk about that a lot, especially with young people receiving inheritance, because it can stifle you. You kind of you think to work very hard. It's there, like it did hold me back.
Do you feel like it makes you feel a little bit demotivated to take action in what you wanted to do?
Yeah, 100%. And I think when me and Sam would love to have kids, I think it's really important for us because I've kind of been through it, and Sam's on the other sort of spectrum of it.
But I think you balance each other well.
Yeah, I think it's really important to, if you've got children, I know we're divulging here, but if you've got children, if you're a family that have money and you have children, I think it's really important to instill that work ethic.
100%,
work hard rather than kind of just let kids know that the family have money and all that stuff. It's like it's a completely different topic. But it kind of did stifle me. I didn't feel like I needed to go to university because I had this pot of money. Anyway, so that was that. And then I floated around doing various things. I met Sam when I was 24. I think I met him when I was 24. And Sam has his own career. He's just about to start as a GP. He's really really hardworking, really focused, very clever, very academic, completely like different end of the scale to me, which is great. It works really well for us. We complement each other really well, and we've both got the same goals, the same outlook. We grew up 15 minutes down the road from each other. We didn't even know each other.
Oh, love that.
We've kind of like found each other, which is
so cute.
Really, really nice. So it's 24 when I met Sam, and this was at the time when I was kind of coming into my inheritance. I understood it more. I was called into these meetings with trustees, and it was at that point when I thought, my God, this is quite a lot of money. I need to really have a think about what I'm going to do with my future, with my career. And it was when we went to my dad's farm in Devon, me and Sam, we just went there for a picnic, because the lakes that he dug are now open for like fishing, and you can it's really pretty. So we went there for a picnic, and I asked the owners if we, obviously Dad used to have the farm, so they kind of let us go down there. And it wasn't until we went down and we were just sat by the lakes, and I thought, I'd love to have something like this. I'd love to just carry on. I mean, if my dad would have died sort of naturally, I suppose, I would have just probably inherited his farm. I would have carried on farming. It would have just been sort of the next handover thing. But it wasn't until I sat down there with Sam, I just thought, this feels right. I feel at home. I feel this is something like a farm is what I want to do. I want to try and put that creativity that I have into something. I love nature. I love farming. I love the outdoors. The whole business thing with property really interests me. I love properties. So I kind of approached the trustees and I said, look, but bearing in mind, from 18 to 24, I was sending really dodgy property deals to them to make loads of money really quickly. Of course, looking back, I cringe at some of the stuff.
What sort of properties were these?
Oh God, it was I don't know, buy a share in a hotel, and earn 15% net return guaranteed for 10 years, properties in Dubai, just stuff that a kind of a property sourcer would send you.
I guess it's everything could be an opportunity, but you just don't know. How were the trustees reacting to these deals? What were they saying?
They just weren't really responding. I was so naive. I hadn't a clue what I was doing, but it sounded really good. So I'd send it to them, and I had friends that were quite influential on me or with me. Sort of, you must do this, do this, do this. And I was sort of I don't know. I'll send it to my trustees and see what they say. And they just sort of didn't really respond. So when I came to them with this idea of having a farm, I thought they're not going to say yes. Of course they're not going to say yes. I'm 24. They're going to think, what are you doing? Anyway, we went in and I wrote this I told them roughly about it, and they said, you need to do a business plan, you need to do a financial plan, you need to have this in a nice red pretty bow, it needs to be wrapped up where it's nice. So I spent probably 2 months with Sam working on this business plan, trying to convince myself what I was writing was really correct, and that's really I knew what I was on about. I hadn't a clue. And I took it in, and they were like, yeah, let's do it. And
is it because you put that much more effort into wrapping it up and making it an actual businest plan?
Yeah, I spent proper time, sat down, actually doing research, and I went to a couple of wedding venues I just said, I'm looking at, and of course it kind of worked in my favour. They looked at me as a 24-year-old and thought, you're not going to buy a wedding venue. You haven't got the money to buy a wedding venue. So, of course, they'd let me in. I'd have a look around their premises. I'd see how they got things set up. I got to see them sort of talking to couples. I'd go to events that they would be putting on to see how a wedding would be run. So it was a really good chance for me to kind of see how businesses were run. Campsites, I'd go to these campsites in Devon and sort of say, I'm 24, I'm going to buy a campsite. And of course they'd of course, come in, you're not going to buy a campsite. So I put this business plan together, and lo and behold, they said, if you find somewhere appropriate, we will look at buying the farm or whatever you like.
Wow.
Your business plan, we'll have a serious look at it. So I was like, oh my God, I've now got to put my kind of money
into something.
This is that I've
commit.
I've relied on this trust for so long, and so I did. I sat out for nearly 18 months trying to find somewhere. I must have looked at 50 or 60 farms. businesses that were either already set up and established and had an income through like holiday lettings or farming, farms that were derelict. So I looked at everything. Nothing really felt like Dad's farm. It didn't feel like home. And I saw this farm on Rightmove, and I thought, oh, it doesn't look anything special. It needs a lot of work. It's in Bampton. I only know Bampton through, funny enough, driving through it as a child to my dad's farm. And I didn't see it. And anyway, cut long story short, I did. It turned up, and I was just like, this feels like home. Why haven't I come and seen this sooner? So I walked around. It had, and funny enough, when I was working in Bristol, we used to this. This is a really long story short. I've cut a long story short. This lady used to follow me around on viewings, and she was buying a house for her son. And every Saturday I'd see her for about a month, and she would rate a property out of 5. So she'd have like access, location, development opportunity, Wi-Fi, phone signal, and feel. So I did the same. Every property I went and viewed, I'd literally get in a little clipboard, and I would mark it out of 5, and Holwell was 5 out. Like each thing was 5 out of 5, and I thought this is the one.
Was it a business that was it already running, having a business run there, or several businesses run on the farm?
Just a building?
Just a farm, just an old Devon longhouse that a guy had lived in with his family for 35 years. It was bodged. It needed a lot of work. It wasn't modern. And it was so overgrown. But it just felt right. It felt like I can get my teeth stuck into this.
That's amazing. I love how much it was like your gut feeling and your instinct that was like, this is the one. And because you're creative, I think you need a lot of that when you're finding opportunities. You usually have to find something that needs work, but you need to be able to have that vision in your mind of what it could become at the end.
And I just felt like I could really get my teeth stuck into it. And so I went back to the trust, and they said, "Yeah, let's do it." And I was so like, "Oh my god, okay, slow down."
Please just say no. That would have been easier.
Another 5 years. So there was a bit of like going backwards and forwards with the logistics of doing it and winding down trust and all the sort of taxes to pay and all this sort of stuff. So and they were the trustee who was part of it was kind of from a farming background anyway, had done property things before, so he knew, which was quite handy, that property was a safer thing for me to invest in. I mean, they said if you came to us with some like website idea, rather than sinking £1 million into a website which just doesn't work and you've got nothing to show for it, at least with
you
a
just
farm,
sell the property.
You've got something.
You've got an asset.
Which historically goes up. If it goes down slightly, you've still got bricks and mortar. It's there. You can see it.
Exactly.
So they were really kind of up for the idea, and it took 6 months to go through. In this time, I was just rattling around, actually thinking, right, this is like, I have to make this. I'm burning the bridge. Like the trust is being sold. Not the trust is being sold. But you know what I mean? It was like I have to put my gears into action here. So that was kind of the process of me growing up, knowing that there was something there. It was essentially the funds that were from my dad's farm that was sold, and that was quite a nice thing to know that the money that was from my dad has gone back into a farm. It's
the same passion.
Oh, it's so lovely. I just want to say is that like the fact that you didn't waste that money, you've actually done something incredible with it, and I think that's something that
needs to be shared more. I think
absolutely.
There's so many stories, and we've actually got our own like cousin as an example. He got an inheritance and it completely disappeared.
He didn't know what to do with it, and he just spent it going out. So what you've done is incredible, and I think by sharing your story, obviously that inheritance came from something tragic,
but it came from hard work and passion from somewhere. And I mean, I think that's just one thing. If we're encouraging people to build their own wealth as well in their own way, but how are you going to pass that knowledge on to your children? How are you going to make them not just passive potatoes that sit on the side? How are you going to encourage them to use their blessings and turn that into something that what you're doing, like what you've made, is something that is a space that makes memories for people, that makes people connect with nature. Like, it's such a big thing that you're giving back in the end. And I think people who get maybe a lump or piss it away, whatever it is they do, it's such a lack of fulfillment. Like, it's such an opportunity to really so what you've done, it's amazing.
Don't get me wrong. Thank you. Don't get me wrong. When I was 25, I did receive, and it was still quite a lot of money, but it was from another family member, and I wouldn't say I wasted it, but I spent it going on holidays. I see it as going away with like experiences. I was 24. Like, in your 20s, you've never received money in your life. And all of a sudden, you've got like 150,000 in your bank account. You think, oh my God, I can go on holiday, buy a car. And you just, it kind of just takes over you. And again, it stifles you. And I think there isn't enough. I didn't receive much support from really anyone. A few family members said, oh, it'd be nice if you bought a house, but that's it.
There was no guidance, no mentor to tell you, you could do these other things, like start your own business.
Yeah, and I can really do with that money now.
Like, a roof needs repairing.
Especially when you're doing something that is so capital heavy. I've seen something on your podcast a while ago, is raising money. It's either like investors, banks, loans. Like there are loads of ways to raise money, but when you've got it sat in your bank account and you think, I could use that. But yeah, you do. And I did go through a bit of a stage early on of like just spending, but I'm glad I did, because I think it set me up for what was to come. And I know that could come across as quite stupid, that it's okay to spend loads of money to kind of like set you up for the next thing and actually use properly. But I think if I didn't spend the money that I did spend, who knows?
It's kind of like a coming of financial age.
It is, yeah. And but that's the thing. I don't think there is enough support out there for 20-year-olds when they receive inheritance.
There's not enough guidance about it. I mean, if you're just the average Joe, you don't really know any of this. You don't know any of this stuff. You probably don't have any inheritance, or very little inheritance, and there's not that much guidance. It's like when people win the lottery, they don't.
Usually it all disappears, or they don't want to feel alienated from that. There's so many psychological factors that come into inheriting money. It's I do believe it's such an achievement, and needs to be talked about if you figure out by yourself what to do with it, because it's very easy just to get rid of it. But I agree. I think it's when you're in your 20s,
you're still a baby.
Even if you go on holidays, I never regret travel anyway. No, it's always worth it.
Experience is so important.
Yeah, that's kind of what I take away from it. I was going to say something. I can't remember what I was going to say. It'll come back. But yeah, I think it just set me up. So that was kind of the story of purchasing the farm and growing up, knowing that there was something there to use. And it's been a really interesting learning experience, and especially part of your story is you have experienced this, is that when you look for inspiration, I'm trying to like link the two here, I get confused sometimes. And I've seen it, especially with women and people that are younger, and I'm a bit of a feminist, so I'm like, yay, women! Yeah! Hey, and like, people just don't take us seriously if you're young or a woman, and it's really bad. And I'll give you an example. We had someone at the farm who was there doing something, for like a job. And we've got a really lovely girl called Hannah, and she's our sheep grazer. So she rents the fields for her sheep. And this chap, Hannah was there with her partner Andy, and this guy walked right, even though they're Hannah's sheep, not Andy's, they're Hannah's sheep. He walked right past Hannah and said to Andy, "Can you move your sheep?" And just completely dismissed that they're Hannah's sheep. And it's that
what
kind
an
of
assumption.
Yeah, it's that kind of assumption that I really kind of rally against. Like, I'm so against that. And the same as when there's so many examples of just going down to like the entrance when we were doing the tarmacking, and this highways officer sort of, "Morning, boy. Do you know what a camber is?" And just like really
condescending.
Yeah, and I've experienced so much of that.
Do you find that being in sort of rural farm environment is quite a masculine space, and so that's why? Is that why, or
yeah, I'd say so.
Is it not?
Yeah, I think there is that. I think there's a lot of preconceptions, and people judge you very quickly based on the way you look and how old you are, just without even talking to you.
Yeah.
I mean, I spend my life coming out every day. Of course,
What?
Sam,
Why every day?
Well, people just assume that Sam is a female's name. So when people are like,
I guess.
"Oh, are you
It's a gender neutral name.
Are you married?" Because I always notice a ring on my finger. "Are you married?" "Yeah, they're called Sam." "Well, what does she do?" And it's like,
Sam's a guy.
like,
He probably treats you at the hospital.
So it's when you're on the receiving end of stuff, you really pick up on the way that this is again complete divulging, but it's all part of it. It's all part of the learning process, especially when it's your business. It's a bit like the mutual friend that we've got, who is rocking it in the property world, who's female, and it's the same. It's people think that it's the husband that is bringing home the bread when it's not, and I love it. I love it when it's so not the case.
I do get a little kick, not gonna lie, when you kind of burst their bubble and you're like, "No, it's me. I'm the one you need the answer from." Actually, Ruth had it not too long ago.
I had engineer come to one of the properties, the one that I own with my husband, and they said, "Oh, well, when your husband comes back later, he'll be able to fix it." I was like, I'm actually the DIY lady in the relationship.
Oh, God. Yeah, it's that subtle, like, undertone of just, is it misogyny? Is that the word?
Yeah. We've been
it's 2024.
Yeah.
Like, where have you been? Lots of people can do lots of different things now.
Yeah,
It's
they live under
weird.
But yeah, it's all that kind of stuff that you really experience as a young business owner, or female, that I think it's nice to be. I kind of enjoy being the not the underdog. What's the saying? The
unassuming one.
Yeah, so we were very much like that as well, where we used to always lead with our other business because
we're just dog walkers.
But
not that we even owned the business. It was like we just walk dogs.
Yeah.
And,
it's just interesting to see how people treat you when you're not loud about what you do or what you achieved.
I used to want to be a pilot, and I started taking lessons. But part of the reason I wanted to be was because it was such a male-dominated space. And I went to this school, and the whole room was just full of guys.
Oh, no.
And when I arrived for like my what they call it, like a free day thing, they were like, "Oh, you're in the wrong." They were trying to direct me to where the air hostess training bit was. And I was like,
rubbish.
"No, I want to be a pilot."
Yeah, that's really bad.
Yeah.
So,
Wow, it was in honest, I didn't stay. It was my first dream, but I didn't stay just because it was kind of overwhelmingly, it was just tiresome to be in that space and have to like be like, I'm meant to be here all the time. And it was in in Dubai as well, so it was especially kind of male dominated there in that school.
Yeah.
So it was a bit too much, but yeah, it's still fun to be the unassuming one and be like, actually.
There was a time when I was when we were doing the renovation, and I was often covered in head to toe in mud. And I came in once, and I'm not going to name drop, but someone said, "What are you then? Groundworks?" And I said, "No, I'm the owner." Oh, lovely to meet you. I'm blah blah blah. And it's just what are you, Groundworks? Well, I am today. Like that's my job today. Tomorrow it's chasing sheep, or something. But it's just funny, really funny how people just they look at you and they think, you're not, you can't be.
Do you wear lots of hats in your business? Do you? So what businesses do you operate on the whole of the farm? So you do weddings?
The thing I love about what you've done, because I looked at your website and I was like, you've got the beauty of what you've done is you've got a property and you maximize the profitability of this property by having lots of different streams of income from it. So what I've seen is you got the events, the weddings,
you got the barns
and the accommodation. And do you want to expand? Now you rent it to sheep farmers? Like, what else do you do?
So we've got the farmhouse, which is holiday letting. We've got the livery, which is horses. We've got storage. So we've just got a stable, which someone came to. We were trying to re-rent the stable, and someone said, "Do you do storage?" And I said, "Yes, we do. We never have."
Oh my gosh, storage is quite lucrative as well. I keep seeing that as like an opportunity. But carry on. Sorry.
It's not a lot. It's 75 quid a month, I think. But it's 75.
You're doing nothing.
Yeah. So we've got storage. We've got Hannah, so she pays us a monthly sort of price per acre, I suppose. We've got what we call a countryside stewardship program. So things like Natural England or the RPA will pay you to not graze the grass down as much.
Oh yes.
Also grow hedges for birds. So there's lots of things which we are kind of plugged into throughout the year.
Is that carbon offsetting thing where if somebody's building somewhere, I think, and then they will get like, it's not carbon credits, but it's like biodiversity credits by reallocate. Interesting.
So the developer will essentially pay, so for example, we've just bought some ground opposite the farm, which used to belong to Holwell, which is quite nice. So it's back into like Holwell's.
Oh, nice.
And it's really wet. It's completely what you would not buy for a farm. It's wet. It's reedy. It's next to a river. It's just awful ground. Really scrubby, messy. And I'm like, yay, let's buy some wet ground. So for that, we're just about to. There's a fish stock test going on today, actually. But we essentially get paid to let the field flood. We will get paid to hold water back. So all of our water that goes through the farm and through the ponds makes its way down to the river. If we can hold that back to save flooding, or reduce the water level in the river, we get paid for it. So there's lots of
that's amazing. I never heard of that.
Yeah, there's lots of environmental things that farmers can take fields out of. They could take corners out of their fields, fence it off, and just let it go wild. It's just things like that which benefits farmers and the environment. So there's lots of different things that we've plugged into, and they're only increasing because obviously climate change, and there's it's a real hot topic now for farmers to do their bit in terms of the environmental impact of farming. So like pesticides. Why have pesticides when you can let your hedges grow, which then encourage birds, and in turn the birds then eat the pests? So there's lots of things which are kind of like entwined with working alongside nature. So I think that's all that we earn from the farm. Weddings, I suppose that's part of holiday letting. We're looking to do our own sort of micro festival next year. So that's obviously events.
Oh my God, that would be
Tell
amazing.
us when you're doing it.
So hopefully it'll be next August. I think we're looking at the 8th or 9th of the weekend.
Amazing.
So yeah, there's so many things, and too as well. This is another part of it. We've got the barns that are being rented out for livery and storage. We're hoping to turn those into either office space or like what's the saying? Co-working?
Co-working?
Co-working
Yeah.
space,
In the
yeah.
countryside. And the Linny barn, which is a gorgeous old barn that's listed. It's got lovely pillars.
Oh wow! So there's a lot of people. I'm sure that you've done your research. Is there a lot of demand for co-working space in the countryside?
Yeah, co-working, office space. I mean, a lot of people work from home, and often working from home isn't the nicest thing for
So
a lot of
funny.
people.
We've literally just been talking about co-working spaces
Yeah.
on our meeting yesterday.
Yes.
I do a good deal. Yeah, and then the Linny barn, we're looking at opening just a cafe by the day, and having like pop-up feast evenings by night.
Oh, they're amazing. Would you rent it out to someone to do that, or would you do that yourself? So you rent it to another business, like a coffee business.
Ideally, I would want to rent it to another business, but I think the trouble with that is because it will be such a big part of our farm, it has to be right. And especially when it's your baby, I'm really picky.
Yeah.
Sometimes good, sometimes bad. But I think it'll be such a core part of the groups that stay in the farmhouse will go down to the cafe. The public that come into the cafe, they're coming to Holwell Farmhouse. So it's a really important part that I think just has to have some thought of who's running it, the service that it's being. There's so much to it.
That's amazing. So that's so many different streams of income. I got a question. What is the most profitable stream that you have, and what's the most enjoyable?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Farmhouse is probably the most profitable. I take most
as in the accommodation.
Yeah, I take most of my income from the farmhouse. The farm's good. It pays for itself. There's quite a lot of expenses with it, but that just ticks on by every month, every year. Pays for itself with a little bit extra. But I'd say the farmhouse is the real sort of key. I mean, it's not like 10% a year net. It's probably 5 or 6, but it's and I think this is again where that diversification comes, that want for diversification comes from. I grew up with my mum, and she's a florist. She's been a florist for 30 odd years, and her summer business takes her through the winter in her bank account. And then 1st of January, she's like, oh my God, like she's got a couple of weddings booked in, but she was because I've grown up around her worrying as every business owner. So I think that worry has kind of been transplanted to me. So currently for next year, we've got 2 bookings, and I'm like, oh my God, I've got so many expenses to pay for. But they do start coming in at the end of the year, and the 1st of January, they'll just trickle in. But that, and I think I've heard it on your podcast previously, of that passion business or passion project. I kind of feel like Holwell is my passion. I've kind of done it in reverse. Holwell's my passion business, my passion project, where it doesn't bring in the most amount of money. It's not like I could fully retire tomorrow without doing a thing. I'm still really involved in it. And I think my future plan is to still do things with property, and there's so many businesses that I want to just do. But of course, you need to just focus on one thing at a time. Otherwise, they all get.
It's all stages, isn't it? And I think that's the goal is to keep on diversifying. And if you're still able to, your day-to-day work, you love getting stuck in. Like we love generally being quite hands-on, being outside, and you obviously do too. And if you're getting so much fulfillment and enjoyment from that, but you can find a way to also still make income as you get older and older, that you don't work so hard for those pots of income, but you still really enjoy your day to day, then that's
I think it's like systemizing the money maker, and so that you've got time to do the thing that you actually enjoy doing day to day.
Because I don't think anyone really wants to retire by a certain, like, so early and then do what? Nothing. Like that's I there's no purpose there.
No, and I think that's where so many, if I'm honest, a lot of mental illnesses, is the right term, come from, because you don't have purpose. You don't have something to wake you up. You don't enjoy what you do. And I think it's a real problem at the minute. But yeah, that kind of whole diversification want, I think, comes from the stresses of my mum with her business. And if farmhouse bookings do drop off one year, it's something else at the farm is working and it's floating. Do you know what I mean? I want just taking bits from here and there. I'm not relying.
I think that's really normal with serviced accommodation. It peaks in summer. I don't know if it sounds like that might be what you're finding as well. It peaks in summer and then winter it gets a bit quiet. But then your place is so idyllic all year round.
And I love the idea. Like
it moves with the seasons.
The co-working space as well. I think it's just like see how that goes and just it's just diversifying in what you've done, that you just keep going, because you'll see what's working and what's not.
I don't know if like our direct booking or our online our individual online presence makes a difference, but I have so many people have said to me locally, our bookings have really dropped off this year, and I'm like, really? We've had more bookings this year than that, although we haven't made as much, because I think people are tightening their pockets, because people just don't have as much money as they used to. They're asking for a lot more discounts. They're trying their best to get it cheaper somewhere. But we've got more bookings than last year. And I think that's only because, and we don't even have the facilities some people have got swimming pools. They present themselves as a kind of a bit more luxury. I hate using the word luxury, because I think as soon as you use it, people have that expectation. Whereas we paint ourselves as like rural home from home, kick your wellies off, dry your dog off, make a cup of tea, log them.
I love that.
Do you know what I mean?
I saw on your website, you're like, let your dog in. Well-behaved dogs are allowed in. I'm like, yes.
It's an old farmhouse. It's and I think as soon as you use the word luxury, people just have that expectation. As soon as they turn up, everything has to be like.
I don't know about you, but I feel like the word luxury sounds a bit tacky nowadays. Like, I know it's meant to sound a bit like it's the top thing, but it kind of, when I hear that word, it actually makes me think it's not.
When you put like classy in front of
yeah. I think people just want nice, and I think the word nice is really underrated. It's just bloody nice.
Nice, but what you've done with your marketing and everything, it feels like a home from home, but like a very British, homey, authentic
rural experience.
And I feel like you've really brought that through on your social media. Like it really feels like, wow, I'd love to live there.
and every time families leave, they don't want to leave. Like, they're just so comfortable. I mean, when we kind of the approach that I use for couples is, and I completely get why they do it. A lot of couples, when they go to a lot of wedding venues, when they have couples come to them, will get the champagne out and they'll sort of show them around, and it's all very glitzy and glamoury, and it's for all the facilities. And I'm just like, let's pop the kettle on, let's have a chat, let's try and paint your day. It's really casual, and I
love that.
I've lent into that a bit.
I love that.
Like,
really authentic.
Pop your wellies on. Let's go for a walk around the farm and see the areas that are available for you to use.
I love that you do a cup of tea as well, because like it's quite tiring. We don't want to. We're in our 30s now. We don't want to like have to go to events and feel pressured to drink all the time. So like just to turn up and have like a nice cozy cup of tea, and like you feel relaxed, as opposed to like you have to enter a frame of mind that is kind of makes me feel a bit on edge, because I feel like there's expectations when there's alcohol, or like there's expectations how you're meant to look or how you're meant to be.
Or do you need to stay up so late?
Yeah, like what if I want to go
as
to
soon as you
bed?
have a drink, you're tipsy, and then you're worrying about what other people are thinking of you, and I think it just sends you on, puts you over the edge. Whereas, and yeah, I think, I mean, we're diverging again, but like non-alcoholic cocktails and non-alcoholic drinks, I think they're really a thing, because alcohol is such a part of our culture. It's
Oh God, yeah.
um it's attractive. It tastes nice. It's amazing branding. It's amazing marketing, and it's not actually good for you.
No.
No.
My own wedding was the first wedding I've been to not drinking.
Really?
I just stopped drinking I quit drinking completely when and then I got married. But I was so nervous because weddings are such a drinking there's a drinking culture with weddings, especially because you don't know all the guests if you're a guest yourself.
Yeah, it takes away your inhibitions. Just
Yeah.
you do feel more relaxed, which is, I suppose, an upside and a downside. But yeah, it's all part of it. It's all part of when guests come to us, and drinking isn't like the most important part of their wedding. We don't have the most amazing bar because we're not there to get bladdered. We're there to just enjoy, and all of our couples are so relaxed. I think that the farm kind of lends itself to a chilled out venue. We don't do many weddings because the environment is quiet, and I feel that we grow in the environment if we, or the peace of the farm, if we did weddings every weekend.
Have you ever had to filter out inquiries that might compromise the peace of the farm, or are you quite selective with that, or are you generally quite open, or does it just tend to attract the right kind of people in the first place?
Right clientele.
Kind of does, from the first impression of the farm is like your closest neighbours are 200 ewes, 6 horses, 5 farm chickens. It's not it's really relaxed. It's not people already come to us already chilled out to the point where they're kind of horizontal. They're so relaxed. So
that's so
we've
nice.
never had to say no to anything. Don't allow fireworks, just with horses and neighbours and stuff, but anything goes. It's it can be a wild house, don't get me wrong. The party can be really, really fun, but it's not. And most of our clients are from like London and Bristol, where they want a sophisticated hen or stag do. It's like
are they like urban dwellers that are just trying to find like a sort of retreat experience, or?
I mean, the fact that Holwell's got no neighbours or close neighbours.
That's so good.
It's big enough. It's private. It's near Exeter. It's near Taunton. So it's near Exmoor. So yeah, I just think it's just a chilled out big Devon longhouse that seems to attract those sort of people.
Yeah, that's nice. We went to a glamping exhibition, and actually a lot of the stats saying how there's a lot of people who are the urban dwellers who they don't want to go abroad so much anymore. They are looking for places like yours, or like going into the countryside, and they're happy to spend a lot of money to not be too far away from home, but they get to be out
in nature,
and or just somewhere quiet. Just over going abroad. And I think what you've done like is going to continue to be a huge demand for that, especially the like showcasing the British countryside is just so special.
It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful.
It is. But I'm very, very lucky to have found somewhere that is so quiet. And it's funny, when we were doing the farmhouse up, this couple kept walking past the entrance every day and eventually say, "Good morning, are you local?" or something, and we start chatting, and they said that they come to mid Devon a lot now because places like Salcombe, St Ives, all of these other sort of like historically quiet fishing towns are so touristy, and yet mid Devon, you're still nearish the coast, but if you're really rural, it's quiet. There's no tourists. you can actually chill.
Yeah.
It's not wild. I mean, our hashtag is not too wild then. It's almost like people want to
I
experience
saw that. I was
Yeah.
like, I love
It's
that.
almost like people want to experience a farm, but it's not too wild. They want to put their wellies on, but it's not too wild. They
Like
want
an adder's not going to get you.
yeah, they want to have a party. It's not too wild. It's kind of that. I've kind of lent into a lot of like things that work well at Holwell. So
Amazing. And I love that you build wildlife into, like, you're so eco-conscious with everything you're doing. I saw a bit on your website about how the deer come in during the winter. Is that right?
Yeah. We get a lot of. They're up there now. They can be. I know it's a sensitive topic with deer, but sometimes they do overrun the farm, and you have to kind of just either keep them away or take one or two off. But it's part of kind of managing something which doesn't have a predator, and we don't allow any hunting at Holwell. That's always kind of been the saying, I suppose. No hunting at Holwell. But it's it's lovely to have them, and to see the stags in October, and they're bolving next to the farmhouse. It's amazing.
Wow.
It's a special place, and that's just what I felt when I walked through the front gate, because it doesn't have a gate, entrance. It just felt like it felt so warm, and I thought this could be what other people could experience. The same. It brought back memories that I had when I was at my dad's farm. That was kind of what I was looking for, and I just couldn't find it.
That's so beautiful.
I love that.
And now you're making it so that everybody else gets to have those memorable experiences as well.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy living on site? Is it quite nice, or does it get quite busy, or do you feel?
So we don't live on site. You're completely on your own when you're there, if you're staying.
Okay.
We lived in Exeter for 5 years. We've just sold, and we're building a home. So it's away from the farm. So
that's good.
We're living between Sam's parents and Holwell when there's no bookings. We're kind of sofa surfing at the minute.
I love that.
Short-term sacrifices.
Yeah. I mean, when you're an entrepreneur, I don't think you do anything normal.
It's never. It's
no.
Yeah. You do it to make it work. You do things because you know that it's going to be better.
Yeah. And like what you said with your mother, like it's I guess there's always going to be some sort of entrepreneurial survival mentality, isn't it? Like no matter, because you're doing something that you really love, I don't think that ever goes away.
No. And I was funny enough, I was speaking to someone yesterday who's got a small brewery in Morbath, Cottage Beer Project is the shout out. Lovely chap, Dan, and he had it's really interesting. He was saying he had a really good kind of like high positioned corporate job, just was not happy, spent all of his time in the office, and he saved up enough money to kind of take that leap and start his own brewery business, and he's really busy. And I was just talking to him like, this is the kind of step that all business owners have to make. They go from that stable 9 to 5, you get paid, you turn up, you shut the door, you don't have to think about work, and all of a sudden you take this jump and you're surrounded by people, whereas now you're on your own. That's something that I did struggle with, is socializing when you're on your own. And I miss that. I miss working. I do miss working in Bristol because you're surrounded by colleagues. You're surrounded by friends. And when you're on your own, you kind of have to, like, again, lean into that different way of living.
You have to force yourself to actually meet people. Like Becky and I, because we're business partners. Well, we're fortunate we had each other, but I can totally, it is quite lonely. I can understand how lonesome it must feel if you're doing it all by yourself. I often think, I don't know how I do it without you, because I would be so isolated.
It's hard, isn't it? And I think
it's more of a, now that we stay connected, because it's so important for entrepreneurs to be able to bounce off each other, even if we do completely different things. It's just knowing that everyone's got each other's back, and because we are such, I guess, loners, and that's the reason why we've chosen to do the businesses that we love. I think the last few years has definitely been a highlight of the importance of making sure that you surround yourself with people who have like their own visions, but they're very like go-getter mindset type of people who are so passionate about what they do, and just not feeling ashamed to be able to talk about your work if you want to.
We've all kind of got that common goal, haven't we? And we're all riding this wave, especially with COVID. And I think part of me thinks that was a really good opportunity for businesses to just stop, literally stop, because when you're a business owner, you don't stop.
Oh my God, honestly, yeah.
And
I was going to say, yeah.
And you have to, I think COVID was a good chance for people just to reevaluate what the hell they're doing, what their business is about, how their business makes money, diversifying into, I mean, you could see like shops starting doing takeaway food. You think, what? Like, or a supermarket doing fruit boxes. And you think,
for anyone who's listening, me and Ruth are nodding ferociously.
We literally, it took when we couldn't work, but our properties were bringing in income, which was amazing. I would walk around stomping in the middle of the room because I couldn't leave the house. My husband was working from home and I was OCD cleaning. I didn't know what to do. It was a reflection time that forced us to stop, and we'd never stopped. So I'm like, it's awful that the pandemic happened, but also grateful. It makes you
massively reevaluate what's working. If this happened again, how could I continue making this working? And I love seeing how the other businesses adapted, but it was really clear to us we could not go out and do dog walking anymore. That business shut.
So we volunteered, but the properties carried on. We volunteered dog walking.
Yeah, I couldn't be contained. I still had to go outside. So I would volunteer for free to walk people's dogs.
Dog walk, yeah.
But yeah, it's good to like, it was a good experience to adapt, and I think a lot of people are moving on from that. Like even this, like people were able to do things remotely that I think technology just developed to adapt so that if anything was to happen, you could order your food online, you could have things delivered to you, and I think it was such a good learning experience, and it made us refine like what business we need to put our energies into.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it just caused so many businesses to diversify overnight, and think if we had another pandemic, or even if a part of our business starts to slow down, rather than relying on one income, how can I just take pockets of like income from different bits? And I think that's what scares me about, has scared me about Holwell, is when I've got so much money or capital invested into the farm. That's another reason why I'd like to start having little projects like separate to Holwell, like buy-to-lets or HMOs, or like you both do. Is it social housing? I think. That just the fact that there's something completely different just trickling in.
It's having those stable, those sustainable, stable things that I think, because long term, I don't know if it would work with Holwell Farm. It's like if you had to put long-term tenants in there, could you?
That was one of our kind of plan Bs, is with COVID, if we can't rent it out, or even if it didn't work, like if we'd spent all this money doing it up, yes, we've improved the value of the farmhouse, which was like, tick, done. Yes, we've got some money in the farm, or we've increased the value of it. This plan B was we just put long-term tenant in there, and just have it ticking over, and then just trying to find other ways on the farm to make money.
Because Becky and I wanted to buy a farm, actually. We wanted to, you do we talked about this recently.
We're obsessed with
glamping, house hacking, which is, just how to diversify the whole land with as much as you could.
Basically what you've already done.
Yeah, we wanted a split title house so we could live on each one, and
just like so manage. Yeah, we're going to do it. We're planning on doing something similar in a totally different way. But in a totally different place. But there's just, yeah, it's so, I think we're so addicted to projects as well. I just love thinking of, oh, how can this be made better? How can we turn that into an opportunity? Like the land credit thingy, rent, leasing parts of the land to different businesses. There's just so much opportunity, and it only takes like an entrepreneur really to be able to see that. But yeah, like you say, it's really good to have something that you know is gonna, if you know something's seasonal or you're not able to get bookings for whatever reason, you've got something in the back that's just like almost guaranteed to give you money.
It's having a mixture of passive and active income to make you feel completely stable. So there's like a good finding that good balance of the both.
Yeah, we had can't say too much, but we had a chap come and look at Holwell as a kind of a project for him, in that we wanted to turn this parcel of land that was just beautiful, it's near the ponds, into a kind of, not a village within a village, but a community feeling like pocket of homes for holiday lets. So like little huts, little sort of like taking it back,
like a commune.
Yeah, taking
I love
it back
it.
to like how Holwell used to be. I mean, there used to be like little huts on the farm for the workers and things, but to rent out for holiday accommodation, but in that style. And it was going to be where it was just a JV where he would pay for the units to be built. We're bringing the value of the land. Holwell Farmhouse would deal with the sort of maintenance, managing, bookings, marketing, all that sort of stuff. We'd split it 50-50. This didn't work out in the end, but it's just interesting to know that people are looking for that. I mean, he's in a completely different industry, like successful, doing really well in a completely different sector, but someone like that is looking at property in a holiday rental style for more income. It's fun, isn't it? But
there's so many creative ways to do it.
But I think that's like, it's tuned into us, especially with our previous experience. I mean, it was drummed into us that rather than seeing what's the saying? Rather than seeing a problem in every opportunity, see an opportunity in every problem.
In every problem. Oh, I love that.
And I think we all took that and we apply it to our daily lives. I mean, anything that looks like it's going to make money, I'm like, let's do this. Let's do that. Come on, let's go. Let's build a website.
It's such a good mindset, isn't it? It's like, how do I do it then? Not I can't, or okay, I don't have it yet.
It's like I can't do it yet.
Yeah, love it. I'm trying to think what else on my environmental things that we're doing at the farm. We are, and I think this is another point of it, is to not overstretch yourself. We've got a really small mortgage on the farm at the minute that we use to buy the land opposite. And I think whilst this kind of like whole interest rate thing is going up and down, we are just riding this wave. And so many holiday let owners that I know have just had to shut up shop because of electricity costs, council taxes, business rates, everything's just gone up. And we're just silently riding this wave. And I think if we did take out a big mortgage to do the Linny Barn, the stables, ground source heating, solar panels, boreholes, to grow, I'd be panicking. So I'm kind of taking, and Sam is just brilliant with numbers, and he's very sensible. I think you need a bit of that, and so we're kind of waiting to either save up funds to do it ourselves, or just have a long term. We've got a good relationship with the bank near us that understands our goals, and it's a phased project. We're only 3 years old, like books wise, so we haven't got a long trading history. But yeah, it's kind of just like I'm learning to ride the wave, and I don't need to do everything now. It's just wait.
It's easy to get excited by projects and
then
get
try and do it all in
impatient
one go.
and then just try and make it all happen, and it's like, okay.
But actually everything has to be done in stages. Like we said, it's like you can have it all.
It's not all at once.
Not all at once, but it will happen. But it's like being able to plan what's the most important thing first, and financially that you can do it. And yeah, sometimes it's so easy to rush to only thinking about the end goal. But I know it's also cliche, but it is like the journey of each process, which is
the enjoyable part.
The enjoyable part, hard work, but enjoyable.
I know our mutual friend. She, I mean, I'm learning from her. She stress tests. I've never heard of this before. Stress tests a project before. You go into it, and you just don't know. You just don't do this stuff as a 20-year-old.
No, you're not taught it.
You're not taught it.
We always have a plan A, plan B, plan C, which is kind of like a stress test as well. So it's like, if that doesn't work, what could we do instead? If that doesn't work, what could we do
if
instead?
You don't have
if that doesn't work, you need 3.
If you don't have a mentor that has been able to guide you, that's from family, friends, or from family, then like what we did, we had to pay for that education and knowledge because we didn't have anyone in our circles. School didn't tell you this,
or family won't tell you.
And that's that good old book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. I mean, no one in my family up until now has kind of invested like heavily or invested into like property or anything. So you are going into this blind, with no experience. No one in your family can sort of tell you how to do it, or stress test things for you. You have to. You either have to learn the hard way, or you learn from other people that are doing it around you, friend circles, or what do you call it, forums, Google. Like it's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we have similar backgrounds where we have entrepreneurial parents, but they weren't investing in properties, or it's like, I think we're on the same level where we are investing into an asset, and that's just a completely different ball game to being a freelance business owner.
I think it's all well and good. That's not all well and good. It's very different starting small, growing a business, learning all about that. But when you've got money, a substantial amount of money to put into something, and there's so many options out there, and so many people saying, invest with us, come and buy a hotel room for 15% net returns a year, guaranteed for the rest of your life. You just get so like confused, and it's so disorientating, and you just
it's overwhelming.
Then you end up spending it because you just think, I mean, that was me. You end up spending it because you haven't got a clue what to do with it.
What was the turning point for you that made you really feel focused in what you wanted to do?
I think it was going to Dad's farm. I think it was just seeing. Like I said, I know that I've had an opportunity to sort of do something, so it was easier for me to feel that I was ready to just press the button. But I would say that mixture of knowing that I could go into something creatively, had the money to do it, and it felt right. I felt like I had gained really good at I've just done customer service, and I feel like I'm good at it, and I love serving people. I know that sounds really weird, but just giving people an amazing experience, and like, even if it's things like carrying their bags, or putting the kettle on, or showing them around the farmhouse and buying nice bread for them, and like just serving people. I get a buzz
that sounds so rewarding.
Yeah, I get a buzz out of it because it makes people feel good, and they're enjoying themselves. And I think all of that cumulative experience in my previous jobs, in customer service, I think led me to that point where I felt ready. I felt ready to just put all of that passion and creativity into something.
I think that's so important. I think successful businesses are always about making people feel good in some way or another.
Of service.
And being of service is that. So that's so fulfilling. That must be so fulfilling for you and satisfying, because you could have a good paying job and just not give a just like, if you don't care, then it doesn't come across.
No, I love being on the end of the phone. I use WhatsApp to communicate with all of my guests. I WhatsApp them before they arrive. I'm on my phone available on my phone 24/7, which I'm happy to do. I know a lot of people don't do that, but if anyone's got any questions, I'm happy to drive to the farmhouse and just help. And there was something else I was going to say, but I can't remember what I was going to say now. It's just, and it goes back to all that sort of learning experience in your 20s. In the moment you're earning a good salary, or you don't like the boss, but I mean, at some of my jobs, I would just try and learn how. I mean, I got into some jobs purely to find out how they do something. I might only end up there for 6 months, fail my probationary period, but I would find out about their business. Also, like learning to do the job and earning a salary. But I loved how a business would work. Yes, answer the phone, good afternoon, blah, how can I help you today? I'd like to send back my coat, please, because it's not working very well. Like, I would obviously do my job, but I would be so in between like my lunch breaks and stuff, I would ask questions. How many people do you have in HR? How long have you been here? What's the structure of your business? Like, I was so obsessed by like trying to want to run their business for them, even though I had no idea.
That's so funny.
Yeah, but
I mean, that's a huge sign that you were like an entrepreneur at heart from the get-go. I would go to like, say, I'd go to like even a restaurant or like on a holiday, and I'm like, how much do they sell each ticket for? How much do they make in a
like
day?
how many people?
What's the operating cost?
At the event, it'd be like, there's about 100 people here, so how many tickets is it per head? And then we just do that all the time.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's like my idea of fun. That's really sad, isn't it? Is that sad? No, I don't think so. I'll just own it.
Yeah, I think it's hilarious. But I'm really passionate about sort of telling young people that whatever they're doing in their 20s, it's only going to step them towards something else. It's never a waste of time. It's never a waste of energy. Even in a bad
solid training.
Yeah, even if you get complaints, if you get like hard, annoying customers to deal with, you then know how to deal with them the next time. So yeah, that's kind of my feeling.
Amazing. Yeah, Ruth and I love how you're like, you know how to deal with them next time. Me and Ruth are like, we get management. But I think that's like recognizing your strengths and your weaknesses as well. Like you're good at talking to people. Maybe I'm a bit more on the introverted side, and I get easily overwhelmed by that. But then I know that my strengths might be in something else that I could put that energy into, and it's just figuring it out, piecing it together. If you're like, I can handle this, that means I can save my energy or delegate energy elsewhere. Then it's all part of the figuring it all out, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're all individually amazing at something. It's just using those strengths to your advantage.
I want to say, actually, just to wrap up the podcast, you've just given so many amazing insights. I just want to ask, if there was anyone that was looking to do exactly what you've done,
what's your top advice?
What's your top advice? Just like with running your beautiful event space.
Anyone who wants to start what I'm doing? A lesson that I'm kind of learning myself at the minute is I thought I knew my ideal customer. And
do you have an avatar? Did you like think about who that is?
Yeah.
Do you go through this process?
Okay. Yeah, I knew what my customer's lifestyle is like. I knew the car she had. I knew where she shopped. Like, it was detailed.
She goes to this specific market.
She goes to Whole Foods. Yeah. She wears Lululemon.
It was a bit over the top, but I thought I knew who that was, and I know that your business changes. I thought my customer was like the nature loving, which it still is, the nature loving person who just goes and drinks nettle juice and forages berries. But our customers,
Here I am.
but our clients are, the majority of them are hen and stag do's who want a really sophisticated weekend away with their mates and to relax in the countryside. And our marketing didn't align at the beginning. So I would say, and now it is in a minute. So I would say if you're starting out, it doesn't matter if your idea of your client changes. It just needs to be right.
Yeah.
So it's like be open to refining that along the way.
Be open to change. You have to be open to what's the word when you compromise. Be happy to compromise at the click of a finger, because things change very quickly.
Yeah.
Business.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Well, I'm just thinking. Yeah, I think we've had to do that as well.
Yeah.
You continually refine. I think that's the thing. I agree. You continually refine what you're doing until you find your sweet spot. And you're like, okay, this is the one that's going to stick for at least a little while. Until you probably have to adapt again, because
and a lot of
things change.
And I think when you're in your business, sometimes a lot of them don't like change because it feels like they're changing their business idea or changing something. But I think that's all part of it. You have to be open to change. You have to be open to compromise. Especially when it's something like this.
Yeah, no, that is solid advice, because there's a book actually called Who Moved My Cheese? And it's all about it, how
Really?
people who are stubborn about change don't tend to see opportunity, and things don't go their way if they're just too stubborn with how things are supposed to be.
I'm gonna read that. Who moved my cheese?
Who moved my cheese? The title's really funny, isn't it? Who moved my cheese? Makes you really think of who that person is already.
I can think of a few people just off the top of my head. Yeah.
But yes, thank you so much. We are so happy that we finally caught up. I could carry on talking for hours, honestly, about it.
Stay in touch. I'd love to
we'll be coming down to your festival.
Yeah, or co-working space.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so thank you so much. So many words and pearls of wisdom in this, because hospitality is something that we've always been drawn to, but couldn't really figure out how to do it. And it's you've pieced it together in such a beautiful way that's so fulfilling and gives back. And you've optimized property by making so many beautiful streams of income. We're really excited to see how you continue to grow, and we'll stay in touch. If you want to check out Holwell Farmhouse, where can they find you, Ollie?
We're on Instagram under Holwell Farmhouse. Our website is www.holwellfarmhouse.co.uk. Come and take a look.
Amazing.
Yes.
We'll tag all those details.
We'll put it down below.
Description, whether it's down here or up here, but it's definitely going to be made clickable for you, so you can easily find Holwell Farmhouse. But thank you so much, Ollie. We'll be chatting again soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.